First slide. It looks like mine. So great, awesome seeing some familiar faces in the room here. 15, almost 16 years worth of being part of the Magnolia community. So it's good seeing y'all and great attendance this morning. Shout out, they left here, but if it's not weighing on yourselves to find a facility like this, it sure as heck could be for your family and your parents and the like. I've got family in Spokane, and just the video resonated with me of the grandkids or whatever, and everybody growing up. So just again, shout out to a venue and a great chance to share here. So when Jason approached me with the idea, I wanted to just kind of go over some generics, if you will, around banking and around finance when it comes to your small business. Either yourself as business owners may be able to use it. You may have others in your circle that could use the information and resources. I'm intentionally not putting any rates or anything up on the grid, and intentionally not putting any logos up on the grid, because this is talking industry and just kind of where we sit right now as far as and what's available as far as business lending goes. So let's hop into it. A few thoughts. We kind of chatted through a welcome. I'm going to talk about the whys behind where you're going to borrow money and what resources, what need you may have for it. How to improve your chances of getting approved. So when you're actually putting together a loan packet and go into your financial institution, how does that look? And what's going to be your best chances to get that approved? And then some resources. There's incredible, websites, information. There's probably, YouTube videos and the like. The state of Washington has an incredible website and a packet that's handy. I've been giving out to business clients as they're getting started around finances in general. And, I'll probably take a sip of coffee after every slide or something, so we can do questions as we go along, if there is any, but we'll save some time at the end. So as far as why borrowing money, it's almost, we were talking at our table earlier about each individual is almost your own LLC, right? You represent your own brand. Each one of you is like a sole member LLC, and wherever you go to work, or if you start your own business, those are valuable moments. You are your own brand, right? But most of the time, it could be a lot of times it's just you're getting started. You could be needing, startup capital. You're spinning off a new business. You get a chance to buy a franchise. We see that on occasion, and there's monies out there for it. Sometimes you can borrow from, personal sources as well. So as you approach your financial institution, you have personal loans, you got credit cards, you got friends and family for startup capital. You also may borrow money to use the investment and make more than what it costs. This has changed a little bit in the rate environment that we're in. Money's not as cheap as it was, 3, 4, 5 years ago. But you're a savvy business owner, and you have a vision that's going to help you use the money elsewhere better than what the bank is going to be charging or the credit union is going to be charging. As entrepreneurs, you know what you're going to do with those dollars and make the most of them. Working capital to keep the cash flowing. Cash is king. They always say it. You're seeing a little bit more value in your deposit rates right now in the banking and credit union industry. But you also need to be able to borrow money occasionally to do that work in process, to do the consulting and the travel in order to get your paycheck 60, 90 days later. So those are excellent reasons to have to borrow money. And then borrowing to reduce your own personal risk. So just injecting capital into your business versus borrowing from your own 401k or what have you, or putting it into your business or your entity. It's just important to actually have that cushion built within your LLC, your corporation, or however you organize your business itself. Might not be lost on many of you in the room, but there's different opportunities for how you borrow money. Super short term. You better have a really good credit card. Make sure you're getting the best rewards that are out there. So many of the competitors now, 2% cash back we see pretty commonly for business and personal credit cards, but definitely not something we're ever going to want to leave a balance on, because we're going to look for other opportunities if we need to leave balances. Lines of credit tied really well in over here with that working capital. Those brief moments of time in your business cycle where you need 30 or 60 days to incur expenses, but then get paid back from a revenue flow, cash flow standpoint, right? So you'll find those lines can be, anywhere from $5,000 up to $500,000 or more, depending on the size of your business. Throw in one of those statistics out there. I'd say usually your line of credit for your business should be about 10 or 15% of your annual revenue. So as you approach your financial institution for borrowing there, I wouldn't say that's a cap, but that's a pretty common ratio that you would look to see. Term loans. So between these two, between lines of credit and term loans, I've seen it at the bank, and I've seen it way too much. Just somebody coming in and say, I need a line of credit because I need to buy another truck. I need a line of credit because I need to buy this piece of equipment that's going to have a depreciating life cycle, right? But I've got to get it. I just need a line of credit. Well, no, you want to get a loan. You want to actually know what that cost is up front, lock in those monthly payments, and then be able to depreciate that asset over the time appropriately. You don't want to leave, well, we've seen what happened with prime rate. We're 8.25 now at prime. So if you went out and bought a truck 4 years ago, you could have had it at 4%, and now it's floating at 8, 9% or more. So match, get those repayment terms to match what you're using for. Real estate, we love, well, you're seeing it. You see commercial real estate all over. You walk outside the door here, and it's all visible nearby. There's kind of two different ways that can go. It can be investment commercial real estate, which kind of most of the banks still haven't played in all that much. Or it could be owner occupied, where you're actually doing business in your commercial location. Those, most financial institutions love those, and there's both traditional funds available. There's also SBA dollars available, incredible SBA programs for when you're looking to buy your first properties or buy extended properties. There we go. It ties right into the SBA lending. We all saw it through the kind of that PPP cycle and how some of the SBA products and services jumped up and helped out. As you talk to your banks and credit unions, you're going to find that there's longer terms. Typically, if you get that government backing, basically the feds are just coming in and helping back that loan for the bank to take a lot less risk when we're doing SBA lending. So you'll see a longer term, which brings your payments down. You'll also see better interest rates. You'll see flexible payment options where it could be principal and interest, gets rid of the balloon payments, and then minimal costs. The government does a really good job in helping influx these dollars into our economy, but not passing on too many more fees, and it keeps all of those fees capped. On the far right-hand side, this is where it can look daunting sometimes of what you need to put together to apply. So it's when we're talking about a financial package, it could be, it's years worth of tax returns, typically 3 years if you're not a startup, business financial statements, personal financial statements, aging of accounts receivable, if that's an applicable thing for you. So, again, each institution is going to be a little different in that regard. The good thing, especially from an SBA standpoint, is you're going to find that it's consistent. No matter where you go, there should be consistent requests that come. And where we joking was we were joking earlier about, like, can you fog a mirror and get a loan? And those days have sunsetted. Like, we really do. All institutions are being very safe in our lending, and that's important to keep stability in financial services overall. And how do you qualify for an SBA loan? Again, it's going to be, each deal, each operator is unique, and so you'll just approach your financial institutions and put together your business plan and come in and talk about making sure that you have the right employment standards and all the like, a net worth that's not above $15 million. I mean, there's certain parameters that are built within the SBA program, but man, they make it very, very easy to qualify. And I would say, well, it's a shameless plug, like KeyBank is a great player in the Washington market, especially for this. You'll find most of the banks here are very savvy as far as SBA lending and can be an incredible resource for you when it comes to finding these sorts of deals. All right, so this is a slide. The best time to apply for a loan is when you don't, a line of credit especially, or a loan is when you don't need money. Sad to say, but it's true. If you're cash heavy and everything looks great in your books, I mean, that is a time to go in and approach your bank and be like, hey, let's extend my line of credit. Let's go ahead and get access to a few more dollars. If you wait until it's last minute, especially, most banks, we need 45, 60 days sometimes to turn and get a line of credit set up. And so it's not something you want to wait for and do last minute. And if you are at a point where your business is is flush and is performing and doing well, that's a great time to establish those working capital lines of credit. The business has to show historical ability to repay. So if we're not getting startup money from the SBA or from your institution, showing that historic ability to borrow and pay those loans back. There is something to being loyal to whichever bank you're at. I mean, if they're taking care of you and they get the right loan done, keep that up. That historic ability to repay in each institution is important, but it cross applies to other locations too. If you go into another bank or another credit union, and then update your business balance sheet, profit and loss. Always, I mean, keeping your books up to date is important. Whichever software you use or bookkeeper you use, I know it's harder and harder to find a good bookkeeper these days that's part-time or not, if they're not your own in-house bookkeeping group, but just make sure you're keeping your financials up to date, because anytime you approach a bank and you want to get approved, they're going to ask for last quarter's profit and loss and balance sheet and aging reports. So have those handy. Resources. There's small business. Each bank's website will have a URL. You can go and check out awesome business experts through score.org. Had a chance to peruse that website. The next 2 slides that I think, or at least next 1 or 2 slides, is going to be based off of these SBA and State of Washington small business guidance links. Just count, of all things you can Google search to some extent, right, or Bing search. But just if you have questions about your business, make sure you go to a trusted government website or a trusted financial website, and you'll find incredible answers and guidance when it comes to this. Here's one example that I see. The state of Washington, they talk about the 5 C's of commercial lending. So you got capital, you got your cash, you got the capacity and cash flow. So just evidence the business owner that we have the ability to repay. I mean, anytime you're borrowing from a bank, we're going to look at your personal, financial situation as well, unless you're a nonprofit where there's no guarantor that's on it. Collateral. Most of the time, there's a certain amount of which will go unsecured. So as you reach out to your credit unions or banks, they'll want to secure, based on a truck you're buying or a piece of machinery or equipment, or even in many cases, your accounts receivable, because there's such a cycle in the way you get paid that we can use that as collateral for taking out the loan. Character. So we of all things, it's almost open-ended. We want evidence the owner takes responsibility seriously, and it's demonstrated through the credit history. We're going to take a snapshot of personal credit bureaus and make sure that there's no history of slow pays or repays that could cause concerns with the bank. And then conditions. We'll want to see the overall environment, the economy, industry trends. I kind of heard it earlier, there are still certain prohibited industries that some banks can touch and some banks can't. So just be clear with your communication when you go to your financial institution and start asking for money, just to make sure that it's an industry that's still okay for us to lend against. But it's in that order intentionally, because the capital and cash, just what all has been invested in the company, how much if a bank's going to want to loan money, we want to see that the ownership has put this significant investment and is on the line as well when we're coming in to do those sorts of loans. So business lenders, I've talked about the top 2 quite a bit. Banks and credit unions are standard commercial loans. Similarly, banks and credit unions do quite a few of the SBA loans that are out there. SBA micro lenders. So this is a resource off the state of Washington's website of looking for up to $50,000 for any business purpose. So I guess I don't bump up against that as much as I should because of the industry that I'm in, but there's resources and tools out there for the smaller dollar amounts and just working for SBA micro lending. Investment capital. We see them around Magnolia. So folks that they're looking to invest and come in and provide the working capital to get businesses off the ground and starting. So there's a handful of different groups in the state of Washington: the Alliance of Angels, Bellingham, Zeno Society, Portland. One out of Portland. Oh, that's way down south. But there are networking groups that I hear it. We may have somebody in the room that does this kind of stuff, right? That helps just get folks connected and get access to capital. The state of Washington offers some financial assistance in grants, loans, bonds, incentives. There's at least a few folks here that know how to reach out and work on those grants and loans. There's times that really can help keep a business afloat or help you find just access to capital that the bank may not be able to give. Grants are available for small business to cover the cost of hiring temporary employees for paid leave. You know, I was around at my desk. We did hundreds of the PPP loans of just injecting money and helping keep businesses afloat. Those I mean, they weren't really grants; they were loans on paper. But there continues to be resources with the state of Washington, and then this one's near and dear too. So business certified as women or minority-owned businesses are eligible for certain benefits from the Office of the Minority and Women's Business Employer Program. So certified businesses can get affordable capital, and it's in partnership with and even part of the eligible veteran benefits, right? So there's this actual guide on the state of Washington is like 85 pages long. It talks about from the beginning. Do I need to set up as a sole proprietor, an LLC? You know, and it'll walk you through with hyperlinks to all the different websites. So if you have friends or family or yourselves that are starting a business, it's just such a great resource that I advocate for and share with our clients as often as possible. All right, I'm going to stop talking for a minute. What all do you guys got for questions and the like when it comes to business lending? I just wanted to throw it out there that the deck will be sent out after this presentation. So all those juicy we like the 1031s where you sell. Cheaper to buy the commercial real estate, and are people buying it, or is it sitting? So two different directions that can go, kind of from the investment and the owner-occupied standpoint. KeyBank has made at least from my desk, I've seen us make an investment in the owner-occupied side 100%. Like if you came to me and said we wanted to buy one of those offices on 23rd that maybe you would keep an office in, but it's 4 stories high, it's mostly an investment. We don't offer the financing at our level for that. But if you want to buy the next building over and put your whole business in there and run it, then there's definitely deals out there for that. And us and I'm sure all the other financial institutions are very active in that owner-occupied financing world. I feel like I've been talking, it was a dinner last night that we talked to a few folks, the huge office complexes where there's so much vacancy and those are coming up for reprice. Those loans, when they were done, were in the 3s and 4s or whatever they were, and now they're in the 9s and 10s, that there could be a little bit of pressure coming in kind of in all commercial real estate in the nature of how they're underwritten. I wouldn't say they balloon, but the terms that they do on commercial loans, right, aren't like a 30-year home mortgage. So there are times they come up for reprice at the higher interest rates, and that could put some pressure on on what goes on the market for sale and also on what can be refinanced and cash flowed. Did I dance all around your question, or was that? I mean, kind of there. You know, you don't want to write a loan for an office building of any size, unless it's going to be completely occupied by the person buying it. We try not to, and ultimately, probably levels above me and 4 departments over, there's probably somebody that can do it at Key. I just know we've always been conservative in that regard. That we have a diverse location of branches across the United States, and we don't want any sort of getting too deep in the Seattle market of buildings downtown. Like we want that risk spread across all our footprint, and I think we've done a good job of that for sure. Well, I mean, private capital, if you're not paying them too, there'd be risks there, right? They're coming for it. The government and the bank are going to take the same sorts of precautions, the liens on the property, as we would have, as your private capital should have done, or probably did from the jump. I know there's an inherent, we just don't like the government meddling in our affairs type thing all that much. But I think that outweighs the ability. It's really just a loan from the bank. So it's going to have SBA backing, and you've got that support of the government, but we're not like, there's no other caveats to it or other liens or issues that there's going to be where anybody's coming for your property. There could be, and there almost always is, if you're a significant owner in the business, that we may look for your house too, a lien on your house, just for that extra backing, and to make sure that as a business owner you're as full in as we are. But that can be subordinated. If you refinance your house, those sorts of things, where the bank can sign off on subordinating that debt so you can chase a better rate for your mortgage and those sorts of things. So yeah, go ahead.
Can you put a percentage of the value of the business on it? In other words,
the whole business yeah, oh, I see what you mean. You don't have to.
I just wonder if there's sort of a percentage game at play.
I don't. I don't know that there is, because like a UCC is a UCC, or there's that sort of blanket collateral coverage kind of a thing. I don't know that there's really a percentage that can be put on it. I would figure there'd be an opportunity to personally buy it back out or something like that if things were falling on hard times, so you didn't completely lose that equity type thing, right? But one off, we could connect. I could try and find that answer and find out. Yeah, for sure. What else you got? A couple more questions. There's got to be access to bank capital questions that are out there. Okay. Okay. I I can speak for KeyBank in regards to, we have a specific program for KeyBank that's called Key for Women, and it's a business focused lending, networking, business insight information that KeyBank specifically has. There's a website for it, information I can get to you. I Overall, like the gender gap in what's been provided and what's been not provided in funding is, I'm hoping that documentaries like that are on the way of helping us in that regard, because the best businesses got, right, there's got to be equal opportunity to capital coming through, and KeyBank has made that. We're diverse in our lending 100%, but we've got a specific program in Key for Women to address that. There's once a month. There's moments like that. We're across the nation, and so most of the time it's a Zoom call. A lot of times, though, it's in person. There was a get-together in Redmond not too long ago where I'd almost call it a BNI type moment, right? You just get business owners together and get to talking, and then specifically have the ability to lend from KeyBank in that regard. So I'll have to get that link, though, and watch. Was it a private viewing of that documentary? Is it something that we'll see? Will it be something that comes out mass mark, like for all of us? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Anybody else? As I sip on my decaf coffee, let's do it. Absolutely. So that's one of the coolest purposes of the SBA, especially if you're early in your like you got an SBA loan to get started. Then as the bank sees you're making those payments, most commonly your existing lender will help refinance that into a conventional type loan. So you would end up just underwriting that and turning it into a conventional loan on the books. Say you get your 2 years of business and solid repay and revenue growth, you can definitely refinance into a conventional loan out of the SBA. And what that would do is free you up, because I think there's limitations in how many SBA loans you can have. And so if your business is expanding, you want another location, or you need more cash flow injected, we could refinance it conventionally, and then that frees up the ability to pursue other SBA lending under that same entity. So that very much so. I don't think you can go the other way around, though. So like if you have you bought a piece of real estate and you underwrote it conventionally, and you find out that there's maybe better rates or something on the SBA side, I don't think they let you go the other way, unfortunately. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay. I have, to the point of, I would very much say that you should, if you can, yeah, if you can. We see a lot of 51, 49% ownership deals kind of that come through, even though the community property state or what have you, but there's value there 100%. So just, talk to your, I guess your CPA and make sure like there's no other family dynamic things that could impact, you know what I mean? But yes, there are becoming more and more tools, resources, lending, and the like available as a women-owned business. So for sure, look into it. That's awesome.
I heard something once upon a time about with regards to setting up a women's own business.
Mhm.
If you are with your partner, that money has to come from your bank account. Your partner cannot be tied to that bank account. But it has to be completely like evidence that it's yours and not theirs, or it can be dissolved as a women-owned business.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah, that very well could. Yeah, I don't know how long that money would have to season, or yet there could be so many
who had to then
that literally had it happen.
He had to redo his business.
I mean that. Yeah. So there can be parts to it. Work with your attorney. I said CPA, but add your attorney too. Maybe. Yeah. Never hurts to have good folks around you for sure. So, well, I appreciate the chance to share a little bit.